These are 5 games that are going to grow your gaming channel forever. We have been studying gaming for the last 10 years on YouTube, on Twitch, and all of the different platforms. And these games are absolute juggernauts that have remained massively popular over the course of basically 5+ years. And if you can find a way to cut off a slice of these games for your gaming channel, you can grow significantly faster. You can even make a full-time living off of this. We've helped creators do it. Starting with game number 1 here, which is GTA 5. This game just will not die, boys. It just sticks around, and it's got huge updates coming up that creators should be aware of. Right, Ross?
Yes, that is correct. A lot of people thinking that GTA 5 going to, the next gen consoles, they're just going to port it over, and that's not the case at all. They've been telling you for a while that's just not going to be the case. That what they're going to do is it's going to get a complete graphics uphaul. The video that Parent has up on the screen, while this is fan-made, this is going to be kind of similar to what they're doing with it. Like I said, it's a complete overhaul of graphics. This is going to be like a brand new Grand Theft Auto game coming to next gen. Not to mention all the actual GTA Online things that they're going to be adding and bringing to next gen. GTA 5, like you said, it's not going to go away anytime soon. And it's just buying time until GTA 6 comes out or the next whatever Rockstar is working on. So yeah, GTA is obviously at the top here. There's just so much content. There's so much that you can do. You've seen people like Typical Gamer. He's been doing this since 2013 with GTA, and he doesn't even run out of content.
It's so true. I mean, GTA has a thriving community because of not just the single-player game, obviously, and the online content, which there's unlimited online content, but the modding community is huge. And that has been something that carried the game for at least 5 to 6 years, right? People are still watching live streams like this, right, Perrin? Where people are like putting Thanos in the game, Thor in the game, and just going and wrecking house in GTA. And people just want to see those mods, and they want to see the interesting things that people can do in the game. I don't think that's stopping anytime soon, and the numbers certainly support that, right, Perrin?
Yeah, so let's bring the numbers up. This is something that we in this business like to call an ever trend. An ever trend is something that always has consistent search interest throughout its entire lifetime, and will last potentially 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or permanently into the future. If you ever want to be a creator and latch into a trend, an ever trend is great because you can always rely on it. And reliability is something somewhat hard to come by in the creator industry. So taking a look here, this is back from 2018 to present. So this is a wide view on Google Trends of just the Grand Theft Auto series as a whole on YouTube search. And you can see pre-built, it was pretty high despite being flat. We had a nice spike of interest here. And it has been somewhat decreasing since then, but you see that with everything. Not much. It'll decrease very, very slowly over time, and normally it relies on marketed events, new releases, new title announcements that spike up the trend consistently over time and keep the plateau alive. So it might look like a short, small decline, but consider this is over pretty much a decade of time. So if you were to zoom in much closer, let's just go like past 5 years and see. You can still see a little bit of that decline, but you also see all of the marked noticeable bumps here in search interest right here. Most notably, whenever the new NoPixel RP server was introduced through Twitch, and many of the biggest streamers started streaming and role-playing on that server. There's so many things going on in Grand Theft Auto, and Rockstar has been very good at being consistent about it, although I know they haven't released a new Grand Theft Auto game in quite a while. They have been reintroducing updates to the current one, and the fact that they have modding in it also keeps it alive as well. That's one thing you'll notice in almost all of the games on our list today is modding is part of it, or there's part that the developer consistently sticks to and updates it with new interesting things over time. And as a creator, you can latch onto those interesting events and utilize the search interest to get viewers onto your content.
Yeah, but you can also, that's a great point, you can latch on to the fact that Rockstar is is not going to be releasing Grand Theft Auto 6 anytime soon. Those people love looking
true.
at stuff like about Grand Theft Auto 6 because everything's so speculative now. There's still that initial excitement of where it's going to be, where's it going to be set, what time period is it going to be set. There's still even Grand Theft Auto 6, which we know nothing about other than rumors that they're working on it, which they obviously are. And you can literally create a whole channel just based on a game that we know nothing about. And that's such a rarity in gaming that Grand Theft Auto is one of those only franchises where you can do that.
It's so true. And this is just one of many games on our list today. GTA 5 is an ever trend. You need to slice off your piece of the pie, though. That's something that you guys need to keep in mind. You can't just cover it in general. You need to do something unique with it. And I've advised some creators recently that have done something unique with it. For example, there's a channel that went from tiny to full-time recently, and the slice of the pie, they messaged me on Twitter and they told me that my advice changed their life, which I was like, that's pretty amazing. And with the slice of the pie that they broke off is doing content in GTA Online of how to go from zero to millions of dollars in GTA Online as fast as possible. And that they made that their niche of like all the techniques to make money in the game as quickly as possible. And so they did this one niche of one thing that people are looking to do in this game, and they specialized in it. They did speed runs at it. They became incredibly specialized at it, and they ended up breaking through with that niche and going full time with a big audience from that. So you guys need to think, what is that one thing in GTA? Not just the main game, not even just a subtopic within the game like GTA Online, but what is that subtopic within the game that you can use to actually break through in this space, because it is incredibly competitive. And it looks like Perrin is drawing some 10,000 IQ things on the screen right here. What is all of this and what does it mean?
So I'm showing these not marketing spikes necessarily, but this is Twitch tracker. So this is the increase in viewership of GTA within basically the past year. And you see these noticeable huge spikes. A lot of these are due, and I'm just kind of writing down each point. A lot of these are due to mods. So the no pixel RP mod, and which would not be possible and would not be interesting without having online multiplayer. So online multiplayer is another thing that is key in making a game a lasting ever trend. And third and finally, additional marketing events is one here that can help as well. Now, we haven't actually seen much there from Rockstar in this case specifically, but we do know that there's going to be something big coming because eventually they're going to have to do GTA 6. So there's a tangible amount of interest or desire in the fandom of this game for that title. And so you have people more willing to search because they don't have answers to this. They don't have answers to what is going on with GTA 6. It's all speculation, but that drives interest. That means as long as Rockstar kind of holds on to the details of GTA 6, we're all left doing more Google searches and more YouTube searches to maybe find out info that we desperately want on something that we're really looking forward to.
Yep, so covering GTA as an upcoming trend is huge. There's so much coming up with GTA 5. There's so much coming up with GTA 6. There's so much to speculate about. And this is one of the top selling games every single year, years and years and years later. It's a massive trend to capitalize on, but that's just one of the 5 trends that we're going to cover in today's episode. We've got 4 more that you guys can latch on to potentially hook your train to go full-time as a gaming content creator, all of that and more right after we pay the bills. This podcast is sponsored by Restream. Why live stream to one platform when you can simultaneously live stream to every platform to discover new audiences faster using Restream.io?
Next on the list is actually Minecraft. Now, Minecraft is a little bit different from GTA because of the audience that you can reach. In fact, I'd say Minecraft's probably even a little bit safer of an option than GTA because you're hitting people that are probably as young as like 7 years old, all the way to people up to probably in their 50s. It just has an unbelievable amount of range. Anything to add on to the Minecraft game that's going to grow your channel forever?
I mean, sure. I mean, what's really interesting about this game in this franchise is that it has made a return in 2020 and 2021 with coronavirus when we look at the trend, which is super cool. And with Minecraft, not only do you have the main game, but you also have sub games that are coming out with it. Finally, they're releasing other games. For example, Minecraft came out with Minecraft Dungeons, something that I live streamed on Facebook Gaming there for a bit. And they're also working on other sub-franchises within Minecraft. Not to mention it's available on every single device, and it's basically a cultural phenomenon. It's a household name similar to like Mario or Zelda or Pokemon or any of these household names. So this game is going nowhere, and I actually advise to the 2 top Pokemon creators on YouTube in a coaching capacity. And these guys, we know, they are going to be able to cover this game as a part of their YouTube strategy for the next 5 to 10 years easily, if not more. In fact, Pokemon is such a huge trend. You're seeing a big surge of people that are now covering Pokemon in an even more niche capacity. I advise someone else who's now becoming the Pat Flynn, who's becoming the #1 Pokemon trading card game channel. And so going niche into a niche within Pokemon is possible now, simply because the trend is so big. It's so popular. There's so much nostalgia, and there are grown-ass adults like all of us that are covering this one. I just switched from Minecraft to Pokemon, by the way, right now. You pulled up Pokemon video.
We're like, wait, where is this going?
I just switched from Minecraft to Pokemon. I was just thinking Pokemon.
The point still stands,
to compare the two really quick on the trend side, because they both have a lot of differences, but you can see how consistent they are as trend. Now they are on different levels. Like Pokemon, I think overall is a more niche,
yeah.
But notice how Pokemon also gets these nice huge spikes, because there's a lot more in Pokemon going on than just the games. And Minecraft might be a little bit different there in some cases. Minecraft, there's been nothing quite like Minecraft in the history of gaming. The only thing that's really recently been coming close to it is Roblox. There has been no other gaming trend that has risen quite like this so quickly and basically stayed this strong. I mean, we've seen it dip here, but now it's making kind of a comeback. But we've never seen a gaming trend on YouTube specifically that has been this strong. And Minecraft is going to be here for years and years to come, because the search interest is still there after all these years. There's still interesting things that creators are finding to do with it over time. They're speedrunning it. They're modding it. They're adding ray tracing and stuff to it to make the game look amazing, even though it's a voxel game. And adding like awesome water effects. The water looks real, even though everything else looks like blocks. They make it fun, and they find unique and interesting things. Even just the game itself, the creations that gamers build inside of the game have infinite possibilities, and that allows interest to generate over time, even if not much happens. Like conversely, so Pokemon is a bit opposite. Pokemon doesn't have that kind of freedom with its in-game creativity. Now, it does have challenge content and things like that. But the difference about Pokemon is that the game development company continues to recycle and introduce new titles every so often. And since its inception, in I believe 1996, Pokemon has been a flat-line trend. Look at this. It has not budged. It is one of the most sturdiest trends, interest trends of all time. And because you've got an active game development company always working on reliable new titles and new things, the card game, movies, etc., additional multimedia outside of gaming as well. Even the big fad of Pokemon Go when it came out. You've got a trend that can spike itself, especially noticeably right here. Look at this huge spike. That would have been Pokemon Go, I believe.
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
Pokemon Go. Why doesn't everyone Pokemon go to the polls? Sorry. Hillary Clinton.
That's an old meme, but it checks out, sir. So if you are a creator and you're looking for building something that's going to have consistent, reliable results, Pokemon's it. And you can build yourself up for those huge spikes in search interest that could come over to your channel if you're able to capture it with your content. So both are ever trends, but for different reasons. And that's why I'm glad that you mixed those up, Baywell, because now we can compare the data and show you the difference between these two juggernaut trends.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to point, I got mixed up here because I was looking at our list of our next trend of Pokemon, but you see how it's spiking back up here recently? So the reason why, and this is one of those things about these kind of ever trends, is the nostalgia factor. So now there were kids, if you will, at the beginning of Pokemon back in 2010, 2011, when the trend first started, that are now wanting to revisit the game all these years later and are wanting to see content creators revisit it and bring it to now a new generation of kids, essentially. Like if you played this game 8 years ago when you were, let's say, in 5th grade or whatever, like you're in college now. And so now there's a whole nother generation of young people that are coming up through school and are actually playing this game. And so you are now revisiting this in a nostalgic capacity. Maybe your little brother is revisiting it. Maybe now our generation, millennials and late millennials, are bringing this game to their kids, Minecraft. And so that's something that is bringing this trend back again. And that's the great thing about ever trends, all of these ever trends we're talking about today. As each generation recycles, they are going to want to bring their kids, their little brother, their little nephew, their little cousin back into that game so they can experience the game once again, all over again. And Pokemon is one of these sorts of trends. Look at that zoom in feature.
Yeah.
Do that again. That was sexy. Do that zoom in. Oh my God. Look at that zoom in feature, bro.
You guys have created a monster over here.
Look at this, the zoom in feature. And
Why we're on that zoom in? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine.
While we're on that zoom in, that right there, the big trend that you see is from Pokemon Go. And just to give you an example of how popular Minecraft is, Pokemon Go, I don't know if you guys remember this back from, when was it, July 2016. That was the last time it felt like the entire world was holding hands and singing Kumbaya while we were all playing Pokemon Go. We were all outside.
True.
We were
It united us all, yeah.
We were all getting along. It was the most popular thing. One of the most popular like pop trends in gaming that I can remember, and it still didn't even beat Minecraft as the trend was going down for Minecraft. So that shows you just how popular Minecraft actually is. And to your point, AWOL, on the nostalgia factor, yesterday I literally started, I pulled out my Game Boy and started playing Pokemon Crystal again. So you're right, the nostalgia factor is strong.
It's true, and kids, like I live in a neighborhood with kids. I don't want to bore you guys with these details, but this is a generational thing. That's the whole point of this ever trends. Under the Christmas tree, in Christmas stockings, at Hanukkah, kids these days that are 2, 3, 4 years old, they're getting Minecraft swords for Christmas. They're getting Minecraft swords for Hanukkah. They're dressing up as creepers for Halloween. This is a cultural phenomenon that's not going away. And because these kids are growing up with Minecraft, they're going to teach their kids Minecraft and their kids Minecraft, and it's going to go generationally. So if you can latch on to trends like Minecraft and Pokemon, and Grand Theft Auto doesn't quite fit the same bill in my opinion, but Minecraft and Pokemon, because they're so family friendly and they're all ages, these sort of trends hit this nostalgia and family friendly generational factor, which makes them similar trends. And what I was trying to point out earlier is that Minecraft is making other games within the Minecraft franchise, such as Minecraft Dungeons, and they have multiple DLCs for that game, and they're breaking into new genres with this, with different AR versions of the game and what have you. Look at that freeze frame feature. I mean, come on. Look at this technology on the podcast right here. But anyway, other games within the franchise, right? So Minecraft was the only game for so long. They were relying on the modding and the creators to actually carry this game, but now they're really building out the franchise, making this an even more viable franchise. I'm just mesmerized by how you can zoom in and freeze frame right now. It's absolutely incredible.
I'm distracting the hell out of your point so badly.
You totally are. But let's cover.
He's gonna start talking about Battlefield here in a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about Battlefield. But let's talk about Pokemon for just a minute. So we covered game number 1, which is the forever game, Grand Theft Auto. Game number 2 was Minecraft. Going to Pokemon for a moment. Pokemon is a bit different than Minecraft. And it is different than Grand Theft Auto because it does not rely on modding for its popularity. It's different because it relies on new releases for its popularity. And with the rise recently of the Nintendo Switch and them constantly releasing a new Pokemon game every year and a half, 2 years-ish, there's always a new game to cover. The issue with Pokemon though is that it is a single-player game. In some cases, it's multiplayer in some capacity, but it's not one of these interesting PvP games that you can just fight other players and get endless content out of. So Pokemon is a game that you need to be more creative with, and you need to really dive into a subtopic within Pokemon to cover it. For example, the culture of Pokemon. Doing list videos about Pokemon, speculating about upcoming content that's going to come out in Pokemon in the future, doing challenges with Pokemon, doing Pokemon songs, doing Pokemon machinima, doing Pokemon skits, etc. You need to take the culture of Pokemon, the cultural phenomenon of Pokemon, and turn that into a new type of content often to break through with this one, because the games themselves are getting mined out by creators automatically when they get released. So you really need to be more original, and you need to be thinking, what can I do that's unique to really enhance the game and put a +1 on top of that game as you're covering it in a content capacity. Anything to add to Pokemon? Looks like Parent's got something.
Yeah, I gotta correct you there on that one. There's lots of multiplayer, and Pokemon is completely based around multiplayer. So you've got battles, like online battling in Pokemon has been a thing even since its first inception, when you had to use link cables and Game Boys to
Gosh, I remember those days.
Fight other things. You know, that was a thing. So playing the game with other people, it also built in, I mean, from the core concept of the very first game, trading with other people. So it is inherently a social game. It's inherently a game where you're interacting with other gamers, and it's one of the earlier game franchises to actually do something like that, using the technologies at the time and then expanding on those over time. So the game, and now the one I'm showing you on this trailer on screen, the reason I'm replaying it is because this is potentially a deviation from the same model they've recycled, and they're going to try to build maybe potentially a Pokemon MMO, which would to be taking, I think a lot of fans have wanted this, and it's going to be taken to the next level. The thing is, I think one of the problems
it looks
with
like hot
Pokemon
garbage.
trend,
I'm just saying, but go ahead.
Really?
it won't matter, because if people can execute the basic Pokemon premise in a multiplayer online world, they won't care if it looks like this to begin with. Also, this is like an early trailer, so if it looks like garbage, you know, it would be harder to judge them on that. My point though is that Pokemon brings one of the main key elements that I listed before, which is multiplayer. The only element is missing is modding, and it actually brings very competitive multiplayer to the point where there's global tournaments of people that still play Pokemon.
I hear you. I hear you.
Competitively for money. Also, the trading card game is extremely competitive, and so it does deviate in ways than something like Grand Theft Auto. It does deviate in ways than something like Minecraft. But at the end of the day, having a game developer continually publish games, though, you're right, Abel. That is the main reason why this trend keeps going.
I hear you. I literally advise the top creators on this, and I'm telling you, I know there's multiplayer, and I know there's battling, and I know there's competitive cards, and I know that that's a core part of the game. But the audience for that is so small on YouTube and on streaming that you can't make an entire channel about that. Or if you can, there's already channels that have already capitalized on that as a trend in Pokemon. That I would agree with. That's actually a tiny niche within Pokemon. What I was trying to emphasize earlier, and you're right, I'm not disagreeing with you, but what I'm saying is the multiplayer element is like a single-digit percentage portion of that audience. What the audience at large is interested in, most people that watch Pokemon content don't even play Pokemon anymore. They're just interested in Pokemon as a trend, as a cultural phenomenon. They think they're cute. They are just engaging with it as just a trend, just as like a lifestyle or culture trend, right? And so that's the main audience that you're trying to tap into, or this audience that is a casual audience. And that's a big difference between this game and something like GTA, for example, which is mostly hardcore players, is that Pokemon and Minecraft have a much more casual audience. And so if you can tailor your content towards a more casual audience, that can help you be more successful. But we have another not casual game that we want to cover on the list, which is called the Elder Scrolls or something. Tell me more about this game, Perrin.
Oh, you mean the Elders, the Skyrims? That thing that everyone wants? Yeah, so Elder Scrolls, this is the trailer for 6. It's like the most underwhelming trailer ever. Elder Scrolls is another one that makes this list because as soon as Bethesda hit with Skyrim, since its inception, the Elder Scrolls became an ever trend. And one of the main primary reasons why that became the case is because of modding. So we've been throwing around the modding term a lot. We said, Pokemon doesn't have it. GTA has it. Minecraft has it to a degree. Most of the games on our list have modding, and modding is one of the things that keeps them alive. It allows gamers to create, to twist the game to their needs, or create their own space within it to keep the game updated, even though the developer may not be able to, in which case Bethesda really hasn't done much to Skyrim. In fact, then they haven't released the next game yet, and it's been quite a long ass time, if I do say so myself. Bethesda. Anyway, back to what we were saying. So you have a game that, and I'm showing you on the screen that gamers have transformed this thing and updated it.
My God, look at how good that mod looks. That Ultra mod is just holy moly.
Updated the game's gameplay. There's still, to this day, it is one of the most active modding communities, and they're keeping the game alive. But despite that, there's still lots of people who just play even the game without modding. They'll still play the game and they love it without modding because it was just also just a damn ass good game. And so at the end of the day, Skyrim and now the Elder Scrolls series has become an ever trend. And some additional things have helped with that, like the Elder Scrolls Online has helped keep interest in this universe, in the Elder Scrolls universe. We do have eventually a new title coming, but we also have a history, a legacy of old titles into the past too, Morrowind, Oblivion, etc. So you have another game development company who's dedicated to producing additional installments, which is going to keep the trend alive. And in the meantime, if that takes a while, you've got pretty much every technological every gamer who wants to make this game look amazing and still update it and play it and hope someday they'll get to play Elder Scrolls 6. They're modding it. They're making it look great. And you've got also budding gaming developers running to this game to test and learn skills to start out learning to be a developer, learning to be, an animator, learning to be a character modeler or whatever. And so you have a playground for lots of different creativity, and that is where creators thrive, and there's interest in that viewership wise. In fact, let's look at that. I think I had that pulled up, but I lost it.
Yeah, this is one of the original games we built early channels on for TGN when TGN got started, and we ended up getting some of our most popular videos on the main TGN channel, which ended up getting 1 million subscribers, were Elder Scrolls videos, Elder Scrolls gameplay when the game first came out, over 1 million views on that, and Skyrim obviously in particular. And this game is just absolutely crazy how it's retained this extremely dedicated community, and they've resold it over and over and over again and remarketed it over and over and over again. This is a game that you could cover today and obviously cover the upcoming title that's coming up in the future. And if you can build a community around this today, you could carry that over to the new title when that one comes out. Let's take a look at the numbers.
I'll have to look at the exact date on some of these, but this spike here, I believe, should be Skyrim. Or actually, maybe it's a little bit earlier than that.
Skyrim was 2011, so I think Skyrim.
Oh, that's Skyrim. Wow, it's that long ago. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. All right, so this first initial spike, you can see Bethesda was really not on the map before Skyrim, but this was Skyrim's launch back here. Skyrim was made huge by the streaming community at the time. Twitch had just become big. People were now being able to live stream gaming on the internet. I remember Skyrim was one of the first games I watched when Justin TV had turned into Twitch. Yep. And it was big. Pretty much like every streamer was playing it. That was before modding had ever even come. And look at all the additional spikes. Like, they haven't had a new game title in the Elder Scrolls series since then, outside of the Elder Scrolls Online, guys. And look at all the additional spikes that you have. And look how spiky it is in between. It's all over the goddamn place. And that's because new exciting things are happening, and it's not under complete control. You're not relying completely on Bethesda to interject interest into there. That is also being generated by the community itself. When big modding developments happen, they kind of transform and revolutionize the space. Word gets around, it generates interest, and then suddenly you get amazing videos that show off these ultra modded graphics, like you have like this one right here. So you have interest being generated by the fans themselves and able to deliver on it themselves without having to rely on the developer. That's kind of nice as a creator, that you're not sitting there waiting for some corporation to help drive interest in the thing that you're pulling viewers from. You actually could participate in that in yourself as a creator and mod and help generate your own interest for your own. There's so many different unique angles you can go at this one that deviate from some of the other ones on the list. So comparatively, even though Elder Scrolls, I would say, is a much smaller overall trend than something like Minecraft, particularly even Grand Theft Auto, I think even Pokemon on the list, it was lower. It's still very, very consistent and has a still very active interest niche community that you can tap into as a creator.
That totally makes sense. And you would be blown away to know that we have even more games to cover on this list here. We have another mega title, a secret mega title that you probably weren't thinking of. But Ross has to tell you about our sponsor first so we can pay the bills. Ross, who is it that gives us money to talk about them on the show?
Restream.io gives us money to talk about them on the show. I just dropped a link in the comments. Stop streaming to one platform. Stream to all of them. Like I always say, we're on Trovo, we're on DLive, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. We're on all of them right now. We're trying to grow on every platform instead of focusing on one in case something happens to the, solo platform we would be streaming on, like what happened with Mixer. Then we're not just dead to the water, and we have actually got an audience built up on other platforms, and we can transition and move forward. So stop streaming to one platform, grow on all of them. Don't go exclusive until you get offered plain straight cash. Next on the list, the final game.
Click our link, by the way. Click our link. It's one of the best ways to support the show. Click our Restream link. When you use Restream, it helps support the show. It lets Restream know that you guys actually listen to our recommendations when we recommend products, and we use Restream every day. Thanks for the money, Restream. Back to you, Ross.
Call of Duty is on the list now. And I think Call of Duty is on the list because of what it offers in terms of multiplayer, which outside of GTA, we really don't have that much of it on this list, and it's a very important feature. Now, let me pose this question to you, because we all know that Call of Duty is notorious for releasing a new game every year, which is good. If they didn't release a new game every year, would it be enough to keep Call of Duty on our list?
I would say yes. So Call of Duty it was declining as a franchise for a while, where it was releasing new games, it was sticking with the PC and console audience, and it was declining. And on YouTube, it used to be one of the mega titles that dominated YouTube in the early days. Obviously the old COD montages, it's memeable, right? 420, Blaze It, and all of that stuff, and all those memes came out of the COD montage, the snipe montage, the 360 no scope. But then that sort of faded over time as we moved into the MOBA and the Battle Royale era of YouTube. However, Call of Duty has changed to a new business model, and that new business model is absolutely genius. And here's how the business model works. They have one free game, such as Warzone, that you can jump into and play Battle Royale. Then they have a paid game, such as whatever it happens to be at that particular year, that you can pay a full $60 for. And here's the genius part. Here's the 27,000 IQ part. They now have a mobile game as well. So now there are every single entry point, essentially, that's possible for you to get into the Call of Duty franchise and have a AAA premium Call of Duty experience, no matter which device you're using and no matter which platform you want to play on, whether you have money or not, anywhere in the world. This has made Call of Duty a ultra mega franchise once again, and is bringing it to everyone across the world. It was too niche for a bit. It was too hard to get into. You needed expensive hardware, and it was primarily a North American trend for a long time for that reason. But now that they have mobile and free versions, it has absolutely exploded. And this business model is so unbelievably successful from a financial standpoint that everybody else is copying it now. Now all of Blizzard Entertainment is literally going to run this strategy on all of their franchises. They're currently doing that with Diablo, they're ramping that up with Warcraft, they're going to do that with StarCraft, and Blizzard Activision is going to run this model with everything. Mobile game, free game, paid AAA game, roll it baby, and let the cash come raining down upon the executives and getting their bonuses. Call of Duty is an ever trend that's here to stay, and they've discovered the new magic business model, and that is the secret to their success.
That's a brilliant point, actually. I didn't know the model had changed that much. I don't really keep too much in touch with Call of Duty, but you can see by the data here, this was one that started out like Pokemon, where we're relying on new releases, and it's been relying on this for quite a while. And as you're saying, well, it looks like it's going to survive long term. We have lots of little spikes here, but look at the very end. Look how now we're starting to trend upwards. I think their new business model is paying off. They're bringing in new people. They're not just retargeting North America over and over and over again with Call of Duty. North America is primarily where Call of Duty happens, by the way. I mean, we actually should be able to see that in the data as well. Yeah. I mean, if you look here, and we can zoom in on the map itself.
Zoom in and enhance.
North America, Australia, Norway, Sweden, Finland are all like the big areas where Call of Duty happens. The one difference between this and Pokemon is Pokemon started internationally for the most part. Japan, it came to the United States, and Pokemon spread internationally very quickly. This big trend at Call of Duty has primarily stayed in the western side of the world a little bit, but it is now spreading, and you can see that all across the board on this map. And because I think this model, this new model that you're talking about, AWOL, has something to do with it. And they've done that just in time, because look how they've been bottoming out here on their trend. They figured out just in time how to turn this model around and bring it back up. I agree with you. This is going to be an ever trend for time to come. I don't think there's ever going to be a case too where even if you go for quite a while without a new Call of Duty, that gamers are going to be hungry for the next Call of Duty. And so even if they have to wait 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, when that next one come out, the hype and the interest will just be even bigger because it's been longer. It'll almost have the Elder Scrolls 6 effect, where we've been waiting so long for it. The search interest is going to be absolutely through the roof. So Call of Duty is here to stay. It's another ever trend you can latch onto, and it's got the criteria of multiplayer, and they've handled that very, very, very well. Yeah. Call of Duty is one that doesn't have modding. That's not its big thing, but does have regular game releases, and it's really heavy on multiplayer and competitiveness, and that keeps it generating interest for time and time and time to come.
I mean, and they're doing a Fortnite-like content crank. They're cranking out the content in a Fortnite-like capacity almost right now. When you're looking at Call of Duty Mobile, the seasons are going consistent. The skins, the new guns, the new content on the mobile game is just nonstop. Season passes with the console and PC versions are nonstop. They are cranking out AAA premium updates for these games back to back to back. They are cranking it out. There is not a single moment where you can get tired of playing Call of Duty because there's so much freaking new content to be hyped about. So many new trailers, so much new upcoming content. So as a creator, how do you break through? What I would recommend is you latch onto one of these three business models and you end up making that your jam. So don't do Call of Duty overall as a franchise. Do either mobile, free, or AAA. Then some of the niches that you can break through on in these trends include, oh my God, that's so disorienting. Some of the trends that you can break through on here is covering upcoming, I think is a major trend that is underutilized here for Call of Duty. So I'm not just talking about news, but I'm talking about speculating about what's coming up in Call of Duty. Also, I think that people can capitalize on the culture of Call of Duty and how the community is reacting and drama within the Call of Duty community. That's something that's tapped into and that you guys can capitalize on right now. There is too much content, I would say, right now in the Call of Duty franchise that is related to the actual games themselves. Builds, gameplay, checking out me hitting 2 trillion kills. Nobody cares about that. You need to do +1 on top. Do Call of Duty songs, Call of Duty machinima, Call of Duty skits, Call of Duty humor, Call of Duty Call of Duty, anything that has to do with the culture and the internet, elements of Call of Duty meme review, you name it. Drama, the things surrounding Call of Duty, the upcoming elements of Call of Duty, anything but the actual damn game is what you can do to grow Call of Duty, because everybody has just mined out the game to the umpteenth degree. I advise about 5 or 6 different Call of Duty creators, and I have been using my diamond pickaxe to mine out those games with them, and it's real tough and it's real competitive, and you're gonna have a really hard time getting in there doing more gameplay content no matter how good you are. Some of these guys are god level at these games, and it doesn't matter how good they are at it. The gameplay doesn't matter that much anymore. It's all about what you can do that's unique with an oversaturated trend like Call of Duty. Anything to add there, boys?
I think that pretty much wraps that one in a nicely tied bow. It is very, very competitive. Don't go skill level, which pretty much any of these trends, going high skill level is normally not the way to leverage the trend. It's normally some other mechanic that you're looking for. That is something, if you are insanely skilled, I know every Call of Duty player thinks that you're God's gift to FPS shooter games, but most likely you're not. And I wouldn't go that route. That is a route that is even more competitive on an already competitive niche. You're like doubling down on being hyper competitive. You're greatly reducing your likelihood of like getting an audience or anybody to watch you or give a shit about you that way.
That makes sense. Thank you so much for watching the Digital Drop podcast. And I'm gonna hand it over to Ross, who's gonna tell you who's gonna tell you thank you so much for watching again.
Thank you so much for watching again.